So, a long time ago in the land of Zin, there was a king, and he only had one son. And he was starting to get old, and he started to become concerned that maybe the son was not ready yet to follow him as king. So, as people did back then, he went to the biggest monastery around it and consulted with the master there. He said, "How can I make sure that my son is ready to follow in my footsteps?" The master gave him a very strange set of instructions. At first, he wasn't quite sure, but then he decided he'd better follow them. So the next morning, the prince wakes up, and there is the charioteer who says, "Come with me." He puts him in the chariot without anything at all, drives him out of the kingdom. Then he takes away his crown, he takes away his robes, he gives him stinking old beggar robes and hands him a beggar bowl and says, "You have been expelled from the kingdom. Do not come back." The prince freaked out. He was crying, "What have I done? What did I do? I didn't do anything wrong." The charioteer said, "I don't know. They didn't tell me. All I was told was that I had to bring you here, dump you on the street, and tell you, do not come back or you'll be thrown in jail." So the young prince was devastated. He cried, he got really depressed, but after a while he got really hungry. He had no idea how to become a beggar, so he had to learn from the other beggars on the street. Slowly, slowly, he learned how to be a beggar. He forgot completely that he'd ever been a prince, and begging became his whole existence. Then one day, he's standing on the street, and all of a sudden, he hears the bells of the chariot. And he wakes up and remembers, "Wait, what's that sound? I know that sound." And the charioteer comes driving up and says, "Wake up, you are the prince. Your father is dying, and it's time for you to come home and lead the kingdom." The prince immediately forgot that he was a beggar. He looked up, he stood up, his chin lifted, and in 1 second, he transformed from beggar back into prince, just because he remembered who he was. This is exactly the way waking up is. This is why we call it remembering. You suddenly remember who you are, and the transformation is instant and complete.